I love helping people. This is why I love real estate. I love when people come to me, Debora, thank you so much. We could not have done this without you. It just brings me joy. It makes me happy. It is a business that's very challenging, and it requires a work ethics that not everybody has.
Hey, welcome back to the Real Estate Excellence Podcast. My guest today started her career in the classroom, teaching students how to think, how to learn, and how to navigate complexity. She brought every one of those skills into real estate, and it shows. Serving Jacksonville, St. Johns County, and the surrounding communities with Watson Realty, she's built a reputation on calm, under the pressure, deep market knowledge, and a client-first approach that goes well beyond the closing table. Please welcome Debora McCarty to the show.
Thank you. I'm glad to be here.
Is McCarty? McCarty is definitely not a Brazilian name, though.
No, it is not. But I was married for close to 25 years, and I kept the name. And it's a name that it became me.
Yeah.
So.
Just to give us some groundwork, you're from Brazil.
Yes.
Tell us how you got to the States. How old were you? What brought you here?
I was almost 30. And I came here to get married. And I was a homemaker for close to 25 years. I have always loved real estate. It was something that I really wanted to do. And when I got a divorce, I thought, well, what can I do? I decided to go be a teacher. And I was a teacher.
Because you're pretty much a stay-at-home.
Pretty much the whole time I was a stay-at-home mom.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
And I got my teaching certification, and I went to teach at Fruit Cove Middle School, which is the school of my heart. I taught for 4 years, from 2018 to 2022, and I became a realtor in 2021, right after COVID. And that's when I decided, maybe I should be a realtor full-time. And that's what I did in 2022.
When you came here to the States originally, well, how old were you when you came?
I was 30.
You were 30 already. Okay,
Yes.
So you were an adult already.
I was an adult.
Already bilingual?
Already bilingual.
Okay, so assimilating and interacting with others of the English persuasion wasn't too difficult.
It was not.
Okay.
I was very active in my community. I was a professional volunteer at the schools my daughters went to. So it was really a part of my life being with the community. And I just brought that over with me when I decided to be a realtor.
Just in case, because we have a lot of, I've had numerous ones on the show that have immigrated to the United States. Some of them didn't even know the language, which is amazing. I think that's just an amazing story, to learn the language and become a successful real estate agent all there in a brief period of time. From the teaching standpoint, because if I saw, the one thing I did see on your LinkedIn, you got your degree while you were in Brazil. Your
Correct.
undergraduate degree.
Yes, I have a major in business, and when I came to the U.S., of course, I started working here, but I had children, and I decided that I needed to stay home to take care of them. This is a very natural outcome for a Brazilian person to have children and take care of them.
Well, from being eligible to teach, though, obviously they go back and try to get your transcripts.
Correct.
How did they piece that together from a Brazilian university to Florida certification?
To get that certification, you have to translate all of your transcripts, and it has to be done with an approved company by the state. And once you get all that documentation in place, you have to apply for that teaching certification. You still have to go through an EPI program to learn classroom management, to learn how to not only teach, you're not learning how to teach the subject, but you're learning classroom management. And that you need training for that.
Yeah.
It is not easy to teach children. I give great praise to
Yes.
all of my teacher friends. They are amazing. They have a quality that is impressive. It's
definitely, a talent and a temper or a temperament to do. I was an education major, but I went back and taught when I was about 30, and I did it for 1 year, and I'm like, that's not for me. I grew up in a different generation. I don't have the patience and the
It is hard. Being a teacher is not easy. No, don't.
Yeah.
It's
let alone the hardships and stuff that you learn about. Even in St. Johns County,
yes.
There's not. We like to think we're a very affluent county, but not everyone is. And obviously, we know there's kids on supplemental lunch and stuff like that. And obviously we know there's I call them if you want to call it broken families, divorced family, single mom, single dad, and their kids are bouncing back and forth, and the drama of that can be, if it's not, these kids go through a lot, and then the teacher has to be a part of that all day long. So what actually did they or were you teaching Spanish? What did they assign you?
So I speak Portuguese.
Okay.
First of all, I do speak Spanish as well. It is helpful. But I was a computer education teacher, and it was an elective. So I had 36 students in each period. It was challenging.
Yeah.
Because being an elective, students are there, they may not be that interested in learning.
Especially with 36.
Especially 36,
Yeah.
and especially the fact that they are middle schoolers.
Yeah, so they're all over the place. I
They
imagine
are.
you have that few that really are engaged and really want to go further, then you have other end of the spectrum dragging everybody down.
Exactly.
Yeah, trying to get attention, whatever it may
Yes.
be. Okay, so you start, see there's a little overlap, right? And so what gets you interested in real estate? What happens?
This is something, again, that I had been interested for many, many years. And I wanted to be able to help people. This has always been something that it's part of me. I am still a Girl Scout, and this part of helping people and helping girls lead and being involved with girls, and then of course boys at school, it was something that was very close to my heart. And helping people buy or sell houses is very much like teaching computer education. You are educating them. You are trying to do your best to get them to where they want to go. And it is an amazing experience.
You have to stick with the process.
And you have to stick with the process.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. So do you meet somebody who's already a real estate agent that kind of brings you in? What's kind of your first interaction as you're going to take the test? Or you just go, hey, I want to do real estate. You find out where to take the test and go. How does that actually happen?
Yes, I think that is exactly how it happened. I did not have one person who was helping me go through the process. I decided that that's something I wanted to do. I took the course. I knew that I wanted to take the course in person. I did that course in 2020 during COVID, and the only company that was offering that course in person was Watson, and that's the one that I went to the School of Real Estate with Watson. And
So everyone's sitting in there with a mask on.
yeah.
Yeah.
So I took that course in person during, I don't remember, I think it was 6 weekends. And it was a great experience. And I said, this is what I'm going to do. And I took the course and I passed the exam first time. So
Excellent. What are some of the things that you didn't know about real estate that you're sitting in there in that course and you just went, wow?
there are many things you don't know when you're taking the course. I had done a lot of research to understand the role of a real estate, and I wasn't surprised. I didn't go into the business thinking that, oh, my brokerage is going to give me leads, my brokerage is going to give me listings for me to sell. No, I went into the business fully aware of my role and the work that I had to put in order to grow my business. So I am big on education. I love learning. I have taken every course at NEFAR that there is. And when I want a course that they do not offer, I go to Orlando. So
oh, good for you. Yeah.
That's what I do. And so I'm big on education. I am big on making sure that I know everything that is available to help my clients.
What would you say to someone getting started, like you, 21, 22, even maybe 23, the importance of scheduling regular, or obviously you're going into NEFAR's calendar, what are they offering, and getting it on your calendar and putting that, whether it's daily, weekly, or monthly, putting so many hours of daily, weekly, or monthly into education?
I truly believe in education. If you know your work, if you know your trade, you can service the best, you can provide that best service for your client. I would always recommend at least once a month you take something at NEFAR. It is all free for us. Most of them are free for us. I have taken...
It's part of your dues. You're already paying for it.
Part of your dues. You're already paid for it. I have taken the same course twice.
Yeah.
Because sometimes when you take a course in the very beginning of your career, you don't get everything. You don't understand everything you're being taught. You need a few years under the belt in order to, now I get it.
Yes.
I get what they were talking about.
I call that sticking it to the wall. You got to have a wall to stick it on, and if you don't know where the wall is, you don't have nothing to stick on. Yeah.
So it is very important to continue your education, no matter how long you have been with the business. You have to continue your education. I just heard this morning a realtor was listing this flat fee listing with sellers, and they were using forms from 2017. What is up with that?
Yeah.
We have had so many changes since then. It's incredible that there are still professionals out there that are not aware of the changes.
No, I've clearly seen, and like I said, your episode 331, so hundreds of real estate agents, and obviously the market conditions. When I started this podcast in June of 21, in 5 years, we know in May of 22 is when the rates went up, and obviously different. It's the market has changed, attitudes, whatever. Obviously, you were taking the course during COVID when you could just stick a sign in the yard and you're getting multiple offers. It was crazy. We still have a demand here, but I think you're bringing up a good point that the education is giving you confidence. And if you go and look at any of the top agents who are really thriving right now, where other agents have tapered off in the same market, got an agent coming on here a couple of weeks, we were talking the other day. She says she's doing more now than she was then, and she's trending up, and her business is increasing year over year, because I guarantee you when I have a talk with her, it's because she's regularly educating, staying top, out in front of your clients, right? Being aware of what's going on so you could talk confidently to them.
Absolutely. This is very important, and it shows. Being confident on what you are doing is very important. Your client needs you. Your client wants you to be providing that guidance throughout the process. And it is a long process. It is not an easy process. And you need to know what you're doing. So very important. Education, it's top of the line.
All right. So you go to class at Watson.
Yes.
You get there. So you just naturally progress there. That's obviously one of their main ways they recruit people, is offering the class.
Of course.
And you go there. What have you found as far as, have you been with the same broker the whole time? Have you had different leadership?
I've been with the same brokerage all 5 years, and I had 3 brokers.
3 brokers.
Yes.
3 different leadership.
3 different leadership.
One of the topics we always bring up is, I believe, in the agents that I've talked to, choosing the brokerage could make or break it. Now, you got lucky. You probably didn't even really shop. You took a class there and just naturally went on and progressed. But it could be one of two things. Either they had great leadership, or you just had a drive to overcome and you got it, right? You know, there are some people that just can naturally go out and get it. But you've seen agents come and go in the last 5 years.
Yes.
How many of them is because they're just not, they had wrong expectations, or maybe they're not interacting with the leadership, or the leadership wasn't good enough, wasn't the right fit for them? That's a better phrase.
I have a little bit of a different opinion about brokerages. I love Watson. Of course, it is my brokerage, but I could do what I do anywhere. And it doesn't matter what that brokerage can give me or my expectation, what it should give me. If I can do my work anywhere, I can be successful anywhere.
Just don't get in your way.
Basically.
Yeah.
But I do my best not to, of course, we all make mistakes. This is something that it is part of life. We all make mistakes. I try very hard not to make too many, and that's why I became a broker associate myself, because I wanted to make sure that whatever I was doing was correct, and I wouldn't necessarily depend on some other people to guide me. And I love my broker. She's amazing, and she has been top broker for many years, and I appreciate that. But like I said, it's the brokerage in itself.
You're focused. You have the work ethic, and you
Yes.
understood what it takes
Yes.
to do well in this business. I think you probably agree. A broker may able to exasperate your abilities, bring more out of you possibly with the right business set. When did you said you did a lot of research, and I kind of want to lead it and try to get this out of you.
Okay.
You obviously sounds like you had a real estate agent mindset. You weren't, although you're still learning as you go, but when you entered the business, you already had a good idea of what it's going to take to be successful.
Yes.
Where did you research that? Where did you build that picture? You know, that 30,000 foot picture of what a real estate agent is. Where were you going and looking and finding out?
I went to so many places. Remember, I am a computer education teacher. So I was on the internet the whole time. I was on YouTube. I was on Facebook. I was on Instagram. I was just browsing the internet, looking for stories, looking for ways to be successful. I still today, I listen to so many coaches out there because I want to learn. I want to become the best a real estate agent I can possibly be for my clients. And there's always something new. There's always something interesting to apply to your business. But going back to what a new agent really needs is consistency. Being consistent with what they choose to do. You know, there are the basic ways of getting business, which is knocking on your neighbor's door. And if one day I am out of business, I cannot get a listing for whatever reason, I would knock on people's doors. You know, the basics work.
Right.
You go and you go do your work. You go talk to people. This is very important to be always talking to people and be out there.
A test of this for someone might be listening. Obviously, I think we all, if someone said, hey, go knock on 100 doors today, you are going to get a deal. And you're going to get paid X of thousands of dollars for that deal.
Yeah.
Most people would go and figure out, hey, let me go knock on doors. Can I do it before noontime? If they could do it. Unfortunately, life is not quite that way.
No.
You may knock on 500 doors before you get that first deal, but the next 3 doors and knock 501, 2, and 3 might be 3 more deals.
That's true.
You just don't know what's going to happen.
Yeah.
When you say consistency, explain in your experience, your consistency. What were you doing consistently you felt, and it probably is still a cornerstone to your business right now, you consistently do it, that you feel is getting you that business?
So when I took my real estate license and I decided to go full-time in 2022, I participated on a ninja installation, and it was really a breakthrough.
The book Ninja was
the
it?
Ninja Selling podcast
Right.
and the Ninja Selling book,
Yep.
and what it involves in building relationships, because I didn't want to knock on people's doors. I don't like people knocking on my
Plus,
door.
it's hot out there. Remember knocking on doors today?
It is hot, and it is hard. People don't want to talk to you anymore. I think,
Right.
and there is a privacy aspect that you need to respect. And a lot of times it's challenging. So when I took that ninja installation, I realized that I could get my business done through relationships, building relationships, and that's what I do today. I send note cards. If I am talking to a client, the client doesn't respond, I reach out in different ways because I still want to connect with that person. I still want to help that person. So to me, it's very important that it is not transactional. It is not just about, me building my business and making money. I want to help my client. And there are so many people out there who don't have a direct path to selling a home. I just want to sell a home because I want to buy another home. I want to upsize, or I want to downsize. Sometimes it is not a direct line.
They don't know the timelines.
They don't know the timelines. And sometimes their transaction is actually complicated.
Yeah.
Right now, I have 3 properties going through probate. And,
Oh, jeez.
And it's tough.
Yeah.
It's tough.
Yeah.
It's not easy. It was not just putting the house on the market. There are so many other components to helping that family get through this. And that's the part that I appreciate, that I like the most. It is the ability to be helping these people the best way I can.
Building relationships is definitely, obviously, if I was to pick 3 things that everybody talks about that I've had on, and I only have top producers on, people that are doing business. So relationship is the thing, but the term relationship is a different meaning to different people. What are some of the things that you do? Because they're not walking into your retail store and saying, "Hey, I want to buy something,"
No.
or sitting there and you're just sitting at the desk at Watson and they go, "Hey, Deborah, we got another call. Someone wants to list a house or someone wants to buy a house." It doesn't.
Is.
Yeah. You've got to go and build up a momentum, a snowball effect over time in
Yes.
building these relationships. When you meet someone for the first time and you're like, "Oh, this person's cool. They live in the area. I want to get to know them. Obviously, I'd love to help them buy or sell homes because that's what I do." But what are some of the things that you try to do when you meet that person? Because building a relationship, it takes a number of times of meeting
Yes.
them and sitting down with them and,
Yes.
and so forth. What are some of the things that you do to start a new relationship to add to your book and its circle?
It is not something that I do on purpose. It is natural. It is very natural. I really like to connect with people. I like to be friends with people, and naturally we stay connected. And I am big on building this relationship in a way that it's not forced. I'm not gonna, sometimes I have this one huge, he is a client who became a friend, right? I helped her brother-in-law, I helped her mom, and we are all friends. And we go to each other's house, and we go out for dinner, and we go do things together. This is the kind of relationship that I'm talking about. It is not anything that's forced. It is natural, and it is really about enjoying that moment, because when you enjoy the moment and you give yourself to that friendship, only good things will come from that.
This particular one, you obviously sounds like you had a family in mind.
Yes.
Answering that question.
Yes.
How did you first meet? Was it at church or at the school or what?
Okay.
Yeah.
That's a great one too, because I was selling a mobile home. Okay. And this was one of my first sales. It's been a couple of 3 years or 4 years. Time flies.
Yes.
But I met the brother-in-law at an open house. I am big on open house. I love open houses. I know a lot of realtors don't, but I believe in the act of doing real estate. You go out, you go to an open house, and you talk to people. You're going to get better at talking to people, because you are doing it, and it is great. So I was at an
And you're doing your education, so you're confident.
Exactly.
Yes.
So I was at an open house, and the family just came in to the open house, and we started the conversation. They were interested. I ended up getting them to buy that property, and I had both sides. And from that point on, we stayed connected. I helped them with some other things. We know you have a list of vendors. You know people who fix things. Your AC guy, your plumber. You start having a connected network of people, vendors and clients and friends who do this and do that, and you bring all of that together. So we stayed together, and when it was time for their mom to buy a property, they called me. And of course, they are amazing people. And let me tell you, they came to me again. They were not even looking to buy a house. They were like, when you're just searching just because you like to search, and there are many people out there who love to be looking at houses. And they came to me, and they were like, we're looking for a land. We want to buy land. We just want to buy land. And I had contacted this other family who had a large property, but with a house. And I said, hey, and the house was not even on the market yet. They were just interviewing me to sell their house. But they were very stressed out because they had tried to sell the house for several months, didn't get it done, and they just didn't want to even show the house anymore. I said, let me talk to this client because I think this would be a great fit. So we ended up connecting. They bought that house. This same couple that had bought the mobile home bought this other house, and both families became super friends. I mean, it was incredible. They ate each other's houses. We had our closing dinner together at a Chinese, it was an Asian restaurant. And it just goes to show how it is important to really care for your people.
It sounds like you bring up. I always tell people this. One of the John Maxwell talks about influence and credibility and leadership and so forth. One of the greatest ways to influence people is introducing them to other people.
Yes.
And it sounds like that's what you did. You actually you facilitated the sale of their house, but you actually put these two families together, which most people would never do.
Yes.
You actually introduced them to each other, which made your relationship with each one of them that much stronger.
Absolutely. And I understood what was happening, because when you are talking to your client, you have to listen. You have to listen about what they need, what they want. Sometimes we miss a lot of what they are saying because we want to rush that conversation. You want to get to the point. You want to get to the transaction. But you have to stop. You have to listen. And they told me, Debora, we don't want to show the house anymore. We have 3 dogs. One of them is blind. And every time we had to take all 3 dogs with us and get out of the house. And we were tired. And I said, okay, so the solution for this problem is not to put your house on the market again. I have to go find a buyer for you so you don't have to show the house
It sounds like,
anymore.
if I missed the beginning of the story or misunderstood the message, this was a house with a good amount of acreage. Because your buyer wanted a lot of land. You actually put a house on because it had a lot of land.
Exactly. So it just worked out in that way, that I had the buyer, and this particular seller had some very special needs and requests, and I was able to help them achieve their goal. And it was an amazing story. I always.
That is a great story, especially if, whether you're in the business right now, maybe you're a little stagnant and wondering why. This is a common thing, is building these relationships.
Yeah.
Everyone has a different way of doing that, but providing great service, introducing people to other people, giving them it sounds like you're probably one of those people too. You're always looking to find something to wow them about.
Yes.
Do something that they would not expect other people, a real estate agent, to do, whatever that may be, to give them that wow factor. So if there's one thing that they're talking about at this weekend's barbecues, man, I had this real estate agent, you wouldn't believe what she did for me. And you want them to be bragging about you. And that's how you build relationships. That's how they want to refer you, is because they like bragging about you because you gave them such great service and built a relationship with them.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, and I have another story if you will let me.
Yeah.
I just got a referral from a potential client. I had been talking to the client for over a year, but his mom decided that she didn't want to sell. She wanted to stay in her house. She's bedridden. And I told him, look, don't worry about this. I totally understand. She is comfortable in her home. And I understand that you all want to do this, but ultimately your mom is the decider and she would like to stay put. And I helped him with his insurance. I helped him with giving some vendors, and through the course of the year we kept communicating. And he the other day called me and said, Debora, I gave your contact to a friend of mine and they're thinking about selling their house, and so here it is. Mm-hmm. I said, okay. I called them, I talked to them over the phone, and in the beginning, let me tell you, I think they were interviewing other realtors. And they confirmed that with me yesterday, that they were interviewing other realtors. But I got there after my trip to Atlanta, because I just came back from a World Cup game. And I got there from Atlanta. It took me a little long because when I got, they were speaking in Spanish. And I speak Spanish, but 3 hours of speaking Spanish was long 3 hours. I got it done. Right. But they signed the contract with me because they felt that I could be that one person to help them. They also have very special needs. They have several requests, and I'm there to help them, and that's what makes me happy.
And in having the confidence, again, it goes back to the education. I want to finish this segment of it, and we'll get into our questions, but have you sought out other agents? There's the formal education part of going to NEFAR or going to a lunch and learn, maybe a lender or title company's putting on, but just peering up or having coffee or having lunch or just regularly interacting with another successful real estate agent to be kind of talking through some of these situations, because every deal is different.
It is.
There's different humans involved. There's a different address involved. Financial parts of it everybody's different, and so every deal is different, and you run upon some of these squirrely things, and you're like trying to put the puzzle pieces together. So having that go-to other experienced agent to talk to and try to put it together, maybe they've experienced something similar and how they got through it. Have you had any of those people in the years you've been doing it now?
So I have been very, very lucky that I only had issues with my transactions in this May. Until then, all of my transactions had been pretty not easy, but I was able to
predictable.
I could handle them without having to go to another realtor for advice. I, of course, have the support of my broker. But this past May, I had a couple of transactions that just didn't go the way they were supposed to have gone. And I really did need some support from my office, and they were there for me. So yeah. I really appreciate being able to go to my close-knit realtors in my office and get that support.
Yeah, I mean, it goes back to what I originally said, choosing the right brokerage. You've got to have, whether it's the broker themselves or other leaders that may be in that office, maybe they're other top agents that are doing things, but you've got to have those people need to be on a quick dial, and they've got to be able to share with you as you would share with them in an open, trust factor. They're not going, well, she's my competitor. The top agents, if you're listening right now, the top agents do not see other real estate agents as competitors. I think really the only time you guys really could say you're competing is when you are going in on, say, a listing appointment.
Right.
You might have them interviewing 2 or 3 other agents, but have you found that a lot of times, because you're authentic, your knowledge, what you've been doing, not only from numbers standpoint, but going to the classes a couple of times and so forth, allows you to go in there, and if you talk with that confidence, it really will knock out 2/3 of the other agents, because most of them aren't doing deals, and let alone they're not doing the level of education that you've done.
Yeah, I agree. And this is exactly what happens. You get the education and you become confident in all the work that you do. And you know that you can help. You know you can help because you have the knowledge. And having knowledge is absolutely the most important. You have the knowledge, and it does help to have a little bit of personality as well.
Yeah. Well, the desire to want to help other people.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, and people want to be with other people who they connect. And I am I am a very happy person. I am a positive person. So that is what I bring to the table when I'm talking to my clients. I'm always happy and smiling, and this is very important. You really need to engage your client in a way that they feel appreciated and they want to work with you.
This picture came into my mind when you were saying that. It's almost like inviting your friend to come over and put this puzzle together.
Yeah.
Because every real estate transaction is a puzzle at different levels of difficulty. Some are real easy, some are not. But you're putting that puzzle together, and when you form that relationship with the client across to you that you've been preaching about, you're putting that puzzle together, and that's really what you really need to enjoy, is being with a friend, a trusted other, in accomplishing something, and that's putting the puzzle together of timelines, how we're going to sell this house, buy that house, all the types of things that go on when under a real estate transaction.
Yes.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
All right.
I like that.
Let's dive in here a little bit about the Jacksonville, we'll say Northeast Florida real estate market really for 2026.
Okay.
When you look at the numbers, what do you think sellers in Northeast Florida are misreading about the market right now?
Ooh. So I go through this with a lot of my sellers, and sometimes they miss the point. I believe what they are looking at, they think that prices are going down. And I like to look at this as prices adjusting. Because what happened in 2020 and beginning of 2021 during COVID years, all the prices went up too fast. And that was not sustainable. So now we are going through a downward adjustment that is taking a few years to go back to normal. And that's the one conversation I have with my sellers, is that, well, yes, I know that on paper it looks like prices are going down, but they are just adjusting because they went up too fast. 30 to 40% in the matter of 2 years, it is just not sustainable.
No.
And now they are adjusting to what the levels they were supposed to have been if nothing had happened.
Right. Seen a lot of stagnant, but I think no one would disagree. It's a buyer's market, so getting them to pay closing cost or whatever.
Yes.
Small negotiation as far as price, but we still have a demand here in Northeast Florida.
We do, and the buyers are buying every day. We have closings every day. So if the house is priced correctly, you will sell it. Now, it is taking a little longer these days. I understand the interest rates have not been where we were hoping they were going to be, but they're not bad. They're absolutely not bad. 6.5%. It's fine.
It's a lot better than paying that rent.
Exactly.
It's a lot paying your rent. Now, you might be more strategic and might not get the house that you would have gotten in 2020. You might have to go with a smaller home or, those types of things. Yeah.
But it's still a great rate. You can still buy houses at that rate without any problems and go from there, and you're building your wealth. Buying a house is building your wealth. So when you're renting, it is money that's going down the drain, not working for you.
Tell me about a deal that you've had in the last few months. We all have these ones where years from now, we're at a barbecue or cocktail party, and you're talking shop, talking real estate, and you'd be like, man, you won't believe this one customer I had. What is something that's happened in the last few months that kind of had that one unique customer issue? How'd you solve it? But what was it?
Well, I told you that I had a very interesting month of May. And I had this one seller who wanted to, of course, sell her house, and she had done almost every update that she could ever do, so the house was ready to be sold. And we actually went under contract within a few weeks. And unfortunately, during the inspection, it was found that the house had polybutylene piping, plumbing.
Oh my goodness.
Yes.
So it's an older home.
It's an older home, but everything had been done. Everything had been done. But the seller didn't know. The seller just didn't know that there was polybutylene plumbing. And we told the seller, look, if you don't replace this plumbing, the buyer cannot get insurance. And so that was the problem, because the seller could not handle breaking the walls and replacing. It was just too much.
They have some strategic ways of doing them. The plumbers are unique, but there's going to be a little bit of tear out.
There will be some tear out, but the seller unfortunately could not handle it. And it was so bad that the seller wouldn't return my calls. I had both sides once again, and the buyers were really stressed out because they wanted that problem to be resolved before closing.
Yeah.
The seller said she would replace the plumbing, but she didn't want to do it. She wanted to give a credit. Buyers didn't want it. They were not, I could not get them.
Oh, you should have called me on that.
I should
I could have mediated that situation.
I should have called you.
Because I've dealt with this from the lending side, similar situation. There are some insurance companies that they're going to charge a higher rate to begin with, but as soon as you have the piping replaced, then they go back in and the appraiser go back and say, yep, it's been, they just want someone to go back in and say, yep, it's completed.
Yes.
And then they either reduce or you go get a new policy and get refunded back the previous policy if it was a unique situation. So, and there are a lot of contractors that will take pay after at closing. So
unfortunately, it was none of those.
None of those.
It was really the fact that the seller could not handle it emotionally, and
she was still living in the house.
She was, and so she wouldn't return my calls, and she wouldn't sign the request. She wouldn't sign, and then finally the buyer said, if she's not going to sign, we're going to walk away, and they did.
Yeah.
And I even had to I talked to my broker. We even had to call the police to do a wellness check on the seller.
Oh, wow.
And finally, I knocked on the neighbor's door because I was so worried about her, and that triggered her to contact me via text. She was, of course, complaining that I had knocked on her neighbor's door. But I was worried about her.
Right.
It was a true concern about her health.
Because she ghosted you. She just
ghosted me.
Yeah.
And I told her we have transactional deadlines, contractual deadlines. We have to respect these deadlines. And she said, I'm not going to sign. I said, please sign the cancellation in my listing agreement.
Yeah.
I just said, I just cannot do this anymore. So unfortunately, sometimes it comes down to...
And we'd like to think there's some sort of common sense or some normality of okay, well, if it's not this buyer, it's going to be the next buyer. They're all going to find out. So I need to fix this. We would all think that's reasonable, but obviously she must have given her excuse of reason not to move for whatever that might be.
I mean, I could not help her. And sometimes you feel like you failed. Sometimes that's, because you want to help so much, and sometimes it doesn't work out. So
our governor is pushing, unfortunately, he's going to be out here at the beginning of the year, but he's been pushing for property tax relief.
Yes.
Do you have any clients asking about this right now, and what should Jacksonville buyers and sellers actually understand before we go to the ballot box in November.
Yeah. And I was reading about this week, actually, because I needed to educate myself a little bit. And apparently what DeSantis is asking is proposing is a homestead discount or a bigger homestead amount.
Right.
So it would be phasing out 150,000 and then to 250,000. It would be a discount on your homestead, hopefully to eliminate completely at some point.
Mm-hmm.
And I talk about this to my sellers and buyers mostly, but when I'm talking about this, most sellers don't know about portability.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, look, I know now you still can do it. You know, property taxes have not been eliminated yet.
Yeah.
You still have those savings that you can take to your next home in Florida.
We were talking pre-show a little bit about AI.
Yes.
And I had a situation where I had a lady who lived had a paid-off house out towards Atlantic Beach. I don't know, her husband passed away, but they had almost 20 years have been out there. And she was, in a sense, downsizing. You know, what they were buying, the new home was, about $400,000. They were selling for $600,000 over there. Mm-hmm. They needed a little bit of a loan to carry them until they sold that house, and that's where I got involved. But you go on, I'm sure I used ChatGPT for this.
Oh, yes.
But I went into Gemini and I said, what's the equation for portability in Florida for homestead to a new homestead? And it tells you, and you cut and paste that, and I put that into ChatGPT, and I started talking. I said, okay, she's selling her house for $6,000. Mm-hmm. She's buying the new house for $4,000. Here is the current property tax, and with AI, you could just take a screenshot or snippet of what's online and put it in here, and then calculate back what the portability is. And I think we're going to find a lot of these people who are probably sub $300,000-$400,000 homes are going to have little to no taxes.
That's true.
Yeah,
that's true. Now, interesting thing, St. Johns County, when you go to the property tax website, you actually get to see how much portability the resident has on the tax bill. So if you don't want to calculate,
if you've been in your house 15, 20 years, because we're capped at how much your taxes can go up a year, and they do a calculation based on what the value of the new home's going to be versus the value you're currently at. And like I said, if you've been, and it is really designed, it's kind of like the reverse mortgage. It is kind of designed for the retirees, not that they're the only ones to do it, but it's designed that they've been in their home 20 or 30 years. Now they're going to get downsized to a smaller unit and to carry on the tax situation based on the limits it can go, and me being in 20 years anyway. There's a calculation for it.
Yes, there is.
And it was going to be a huge savings for this lady, because the property she was buying, it was an investment property prior to that. So you're seeing the worst case tax situation when you pull up the taxes. But I'm like, okay, this is what they're going to do, because they're going to use it off of that. Yeah. But next year you're going to get a nice refund check because if you do your portability before March 1st that you're supposed to do. There you go. But portability is an important topic, something every agent should know how to do, or pull up examples for you and show you. It is a great deal. If you've been in there only a year or two, not really that big, but if you've been there 10, 15, 20 years, you could save some money. So they are talking about it. Now, these out-of-staters that are hearing this, who are some of the types of buyers or sellers that you've been talking to? Where are they from?
Oh, they are coming from up north, northeast, New York, Massachusetts. Those are the two states that I have buyers coming from that I've been working with. And in their market, it's hot. So it's a seller's market. So they have been able to sell their houses pretty quickly. And they love coming here because they can afford more houses here. So that's what I've been hearing from them.
I don't know if this next question, if it picked it up from something you said, and so it's talking about, you can get a tax sticker shock, especially if you're buying new construction.
Yes.
You can get a sticker shock. A good lender and good real estate agents need to explain, hey, you're buying the house this year. Your taxes are probably only going to be a few $100 because on January 1st, the house wasn't finished yet.
Right.
Or, the other person's lived in it. Yeah. But now you're moving into it. But you need to be prepared, because you could have an adjustment on your taxes going into 27, and in November 27, you're going to get that bill, and you could be in shock by what it could adjust to.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, Well, first of all, of course, we still need to vote on this.
Yeah.
I'm thinking that it will pass.
And the legislators have got to work it out of how it's
Yes,
actually
how
going to
it's
be
gonna
implemented.
work, exactly. And it will be a sticker shock, but you know what? I think it is for the better. And we are a strong state. We have been really, I think, well managed by the government, and I think that people are gonna want to come here more.
Yeah, there's
You
no.
know?
Yeah, well, I love the fact that he put in there that you have to be homesteaded for at least 5 years before you could do it.
Exactly.
So they're not
It is
all run down there. Yeah.
No, they are gonna have to come here and establish residence.
Yeah.
Gotta be a Floridian.
Now that's obviously something they want to put in it, whether they will or not. Maybe they argue it out. Who knows?
Yeah.
But now's the time. You're thinking about it. Now's the time, because if you are homesteaded when it goes into effect, could roll right into this versus buying after it actually goes into
That's
effect.
true. Yeah.
From that standpoint, I was going to add another question in there. Oh, Jacksonville versus St. Johns County.
Okay.
When a buyer is weighing in whether to buy in St. Johns County or in Jacksonville/Duval County, what questions do you ask to figure out which fits their lifestyle? We sell lifestyles, real estate agents, but
Yes.
St. Johns County is different than Duval County.
Right. Well, as a realtor, I'm not supposed to be, telling them where they should go. I have to ask many questions, and truly,
Well, your job is to make recommendations.
Exactly. I ask many questions to see what exactly is the most important for them. Are they coming here for the schools? Are they coming here to be close to the beach? Are they coming here because they are going to be working at the NAS or Mayport? All of the reasoning why they are coming here, you have to know what's happening so you can help them figure out which area would be best for them to move into.
Yeah.
And a lot of time, it takes time. So I send them some links. I send links for the best schools in the whole area, the crime website where they can check crime histories and all that, and I let them choose because I'm here to guide them. Once they choose and they tell me, Debora, we want to stay in Jacksonville, or Debora, we want to stay in St. John's or Clay County, I am gung-ho, let's go. I'm going to help you find the best house in that county.
Are you still finding a challenge out there when working with some of these? They want to sell, but they've got a really low rate, 3-4% mortgage right now.
Absolutely.
And they're going, okay, well, we really want to move out to Nocatee to be by our friends, or vice versa type of thing. Are you still seeing them looking at that calculation? And if you are, how do you help them overcome that to make that step that they want to do, maybe they need to do, but understand like, hey, yeah, those are rates from several years ago. They're just not likely coming back anytime soon.
It is all about motivation. Because if a seller comes to you and, of course, they are still stuck in that 2.5%, I'm not going to find anything for that rate, it's all about their motivation. Why do you want to move? Why do you want to sell?
Yeah.
Because if the reasoning why you want to sell is more important than the 2.5%, then that's what you need to show them. That's what you need to help them understand that rate it's part of the past.
And ultimately, we don't know how big their motivation is behind it. You and I might be saying, we're at 3%. We're not in a rush to go, change houses just to change houses. Like you were seeing in the latter 2018, 19, 20, and so forth. Rates are so low. People were like, hey, let's go live over there. And there were people moving every couple of years. Everyone has that story of that customer who's, changed houses numerous times.
Because of the rate.
Yeah, because, or sat in their house because of the rate.
Because of the rate,
yeah. But knowing what the reason, maybe there's a divorce. Maybe there's a financial thing. Maybe they want to live closer to their parents or vice versa. The parents, the kids, they want to go to this particular school, but they don't want to have them traveling, 30, 40 minutes on I-95. They need to move within 5 minutes of the school that they might want to.
That's the motivation that I was talking about. What it is exactly that motivates you to sell the house. And so in the end, that rate may not be the only factor in your decision making to sell.
Yep.
It will be other things.
Yep.
And I know that many people who bought in 2020, 2021, they bought something that they really didn't like that much, but they bought it.
There's a high demand on the market. What was available?
That's what was available.
Yeah.
I have a lot of sellers come to me, Deborah, I bought that house, but it wasn't what I wanted. But that was all that was available.
Right.
And they want to sell, but they are still stuck on the rate.
But now you have to, and I'm sure one of the arguments you give them, well, now you have a couple $100,000 in equity to use for a down payment on the home that you do want.
Yes, exactly. Yep. Exactly. So it's all about getting together with a great lender. And making sure that you have a good plan.
Yeah. Downsizing into a 55 plus community.
Yes.
What do downsizers consistently underestimate about the transition into a 55 plus community?
Ooh, that's a good question. You know, one thing that they may not realize is that, of course, they are getting a smaller house. And a lot of people have a lot of stuff in their houses. They have
especially if they've been in there a long time, it's piled up.
Been there a long time, they have a ton of stuff that they need to get rid of. So that's a big change, being used to all of that stuff, and now you have to really get rid of it so that it will fit your new house.
Have you had to jump in and help maybe some retaillees with overcoming that procrastination and getting rid of stuff?
Yes. As a matter of fact, this particular listing that I just got yesterday, I told them, look, I'm happy to come here. I'm gonna help you guys and make sure that you know how this house needs to look like in order to get the best buyer for this house. And I have another friend who it's a client but became a friend. His mom bought a house, and he is getting ready to move her from South Florida over here. And he told me, Deborah, the problem is that we need to pack. And my mom doesn't want anybody in the house to pack because she is,
right, it's her stuff and very
her health is not good, and so she doesn't want to have strangers. I said, don't worry, I'll help you. So, yeah, sometimes we do have to help.
Well, that's part of that wow factor I mentioned earlier. Sometimes you have to say, you know what, okay, hey, I'll come over for a couple hours. Let's get her started.
Oh,
Let's get going and get the momentum going.
That friend of mine that I told you that I helped buy a condo, sister, family, whole family that I helped her pressure wash her driveway. And she was so happy because she had never done it, and she learned how to do it, and she was so appreciative. This is the kind of thing, not everybody does.
Well, it's that little wow factor because the bottom line is you have to be willing to invest that hopefully that's going to be a referral, whether it's next month, next year, 3 years from now. They go, hey, you were a great agent, and I have somebody I want to refer you. That opportunity came up for them to put the two of you together and have that influence. They're happy to give it to you because they know you're going to try to wow factor, and they feel good because their person looks at them and go, hey, thank you for referring me to Deborah because she's doing such a great job. Yep. Weaponizing, and I think we could probably put this to a kind of a dual-edged question, whether it's a buyer's offers or the way listers are structuring their deals. But what are some of the things you're doing today when you're making an offer on a home with your client that maybe you weren't doing 2 or 3 years ago?
Let me think about this.
And I think we probably could draw the line post the NAR settlement, which, what was that, 2024? Was it that August of 24 that went in effect?
It was,
that was a practice that they wanted everyone doing. Yeah.
Right. Well, I know that with the changes we had where compensation was not being disclosed anymore, we now have to negotiate. Everything is negotiated. So I rarely contact the agent to ask what is the compensation the seller is paying. It is all with the offer, and that's the conversation I have with the buyer. Look, I'm going to do my best to get my compensation from that seller, but when we put in that offer, we need to work out this offer in a way that is part of the negotiation.
Well, equitable for both sides.
Exactly.
They have a bottom line, you have a top line. Correct. Hey, how can we meet in the middle? And that's the job of the two real estate agents.
And it is a conversation you have to have every time.
Yeah. And it's a buyer's market. Or you find yourself, talking more today than say 3 years ago, but hey, you know what? It's a buyer's market.
It is.
Let's see if they'll pay your closing costs.
Absolutely. We ask for closing costs. We ask for credit. We ask for things that we believe could help, get that house.
Yeah.
And they get to sell the house. So
It is a lot. I think it's a better return on investment to get 3% of the purchase price than to ask for 3% off the purchase price. I think people lose track of the power of cash, and you should be conserving your cash and investing it. Now, if you want to put a little extra to your mortgage because your investment accounts are doing really well, all the power to you. That works too. But obviously, strategy having the seller pay the closing costs and you keeping that money or putting a greater down payment down.
Absolutely. Imagine if you're working with first-time buyers. A lot of times they don't have extra cash.
Yeah.
They need that help. They need that help with paying their closing costs so they can get into the house.
Now, flipping it over to the sellers. Strategizing with them of, hey, we need to offer at this price because we're likely to ask if someone's going to ask for some percentage cost coverage or credits that you're talking about. So when you're out there talking to them about listing the home, structuring it in a way that it's not only a price that's going to get people to come see it, you're not overpriced, or people are like, well, that house is asking way too much, type of thing. And sitting down and strategizing, how important, what are some of the things you talk about with a seller to help strategize what we're actually going to list the house for?
I have that conversation. Of course, we talk about comparables. We talk about what's sold in the neighborhood. We talk about who is active in the area.
Current listings, so important.
Exactly. Currently listing houses around that house because they are your competitors. So you cannot be helping them sell their house. You have to sell your house, right? So it is. We do have this conversation, and it is very important to know what's going on. And a lot of times I even take my sellers to go see the competitor's house. Why not? We need to go see, well, how does your house compare to that house? So you understand why you cannot ask more, or you can ask more. It's all part of that presentation that you want to make sure that they go in fully aware of what's going on, and negotiating that offer when it comes in is part of the process. And I always tell them, look, it's okay for us to give a little bit of credit if that's what's going to make this deal work. You are still getting what you wanted, so let's get this done.
Have you had any lately? You haven't been doing real estate enough if you hadn't had that client that wants that extra $20,000, $25,000, $30,000 more than what you're recommending.
Yes.
Tell us what you're doing, and then if they totally insist, no, I want it listed for that price.
Yes.
How do you handle it? Obviously, because you're having this discussion, you don't want them to be defensive or get mad at you because you disagree on how much the house should be listed for. So, how do you prep that client? What's your mindset on not getting defensive about what you think it is? Because you may be wrong.
Right.
That happens.
Oh, yes, of course he does.
But what's that conversation like with the seller as far as like, okay, this is what we're going to list the house for, and if they're not on the same page, how do you work with them?
Well, that conversation is around looking at the comparables, looking what's active, and making sure that we position ourselves the best way we can. But if they still insist in pricing it higher, I say, well, let's have an agreement then. We try it for 2 weeks. And if we don't get an offer, or if we don't get a lot of showing requests, then you know that you have to lower the price. And a lot of times they agree on that. They will agree to at least try for 2 weeks.
Yeah.
We know that those first 2 weeks are prime weeks, but if they insist, I am okay because I have seen houses being sold $100,000 more than I thought the house was worth. So I know it happens. There is a buyer for every house out there. And there is a buyer who is looking for your house. Your house with the features that your house has. And that buyer may be willing to pay more. So I totally get it that maybe you want more because you know you have unique features that not every other house will have. So it is a conversation we need to have and look for that buyer.
You said you enjoy open houses.
I do.
You really, what are some of the things that you do for every open house let's say we're going to have an open house on Saturday. What are you doing Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday to get ready for that open house so you have a number of people show up? Because I think it's kind of obvious that agents, when they go on the listing appointment, are like, yes, and I'm going to do 2 open houses in the first month, whatever. You're going to tell them kind of what your plan is,
right?
And that way they can measure it from you. But obviously, just putting the signing yard and ghosting them and not being around, open house is your opportunity to be around, even though they should be down the street having lunch somewhere.
Yes. They see that you're working.
Yes, that you're working to sell their house, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
And that's the important aspect of open houses. I understand that the likelihood that a buyer will walk in and say, I want it.
Mm-hmm.
It
happens,
but it's small. However, you are there showing to your seller that you are working for them and you are putting in the time. You are talking to people and you are the one person who knows the most, aside from the sellers, about that house. You know everything about the house and you are the seller. You are the representative of the seller. You are there to sell that house to those potential buyers that are coming in to see the house. And I think that's the best way to show that you are working for the seller. And I love it. I prepare it. I go.
Tell us what your week looks like getting ready for Saturday. Yeah.
So I have my signs. My open house signs have my face, first of all, because I am big on branding. And your face is, you sell you. You are the agent. You sell yourself. So all of my open house signs have my face. They contact me directly, right? Because I want those leads. Whomever sees,
and when they walk in the house, they see you.
They see me.
Yeah.
Of course, I cannot be at every open house for every listing that I have. So I am thankful that I have a very nice brokerage that have agents who are willing to come out and host open houses, and that's amazing. I love it. And so they will come whenever if I cannot be there, I will have other agents in my office who will be there. So I'm always able to provide that service, and I do my best to have several open houses because I also want to meet buyers. I want to talk to people. I want to sell the house. So very important. I will list, of course, on the MLS. I will post it on Facebook. You need to post a listing on Facebook. You can create an event for your open house on Facebook, and that is public. So you always get some friction, some engagement with people that want to see. And when I ask you more questions, I also have, now I'm actually in the process of putting together an open house, prepare for the open house sign, where it's gonna say
coming soon,
coming soon open house.
Right.
Because imagine this, you get this sign, you put it in front of the house on Monday. Your open house is gonna be on Saturday, but that open house sign is on the property all week long. So this is a great way, first of all, to show the neighbors that you are doing your best to sell that house.
Yes, that's a good tip.
Okay? And you, of course, are telling everybody that the house is going to be open. Come see it. I invite neighbors. I send mailers to the neighbors because I want the neighbors to come see the house. I want to talk to those neighbors because maybe they have family, they have friends who want to move into the neighborhood. So I want them to come see the house. I always invite the neighbors. So it's great. And you can knock on doors, neighbors, the neighbors' doors. It's absolutely fine. It's another way to engage. But I usually send mailers.
Yeah. Yeah, no, the neighbor thing I think is not enough agents prepare ahead of time. Obviously, a listing's coming on, when you're having that open house, to invite the neighbors, because 100% in this planned urban development area that we're in,
Yes.
so many of friends are telling their other friends to move into the same neighborhood.
Yeah.
Parents, grandparents wanting to live closer to the kids or vice versa. Or, you need to let the neighbors know that this house is available. They may say, oh my God, let me tell Sally, she's been wanting, and it's the perfect home for them. You just don't know.
Because not everybody is connected. Not everybody is out there looking for houses. And in some, you need to plant the seed. Tell them, hey, do you have family, friends who want to move in?
Right.
Oh, I do. And you give them,
right.
an opportunity.
The worst case is they're not interested in that particular home, but now you've actually been introduced to them. Now you have them, and now you can put them in your CRM a little bit and start trickling on because they're thinking about moving. It just might be till next year. We just don't know. And then when that deal comes, because you've put the effort in to follow up, basically.
Yes, exactly.
Tell us about a deal recently where your negotiation skills had to come in and kind of hold a deal together. What was it that set it off, possibly to the point of like the deal's going to fall apart? And how did you pull it back?
Well, interesting enough, it's my daughter's house. I could not keep the first deal together, unfortunately. The buyer walked on the day of closing, clear to close, and they decided to walk. It's fine. What can you do? They lost their binder. Everything was good to go. But we just got the house under contract again, and we were working with this buyer who just got a divorce, and he doesn't have any money, and he wants the house. And so we were able to negotiate a way for him to get into the house by giving some credit. There are
some little to no money.
There are some strategies that we can use, and as long as the house appraises, we are able to help the buyer and get him to buy this house. So I think I'm very happy that we agreed on how to get this done, and we are walking towards closing.
Yeah. And for the listeners out there, it's great that they put a down payment on. They can buy more home because they're putting a down payment on to get the loan to a payment that they want, type of thing. But if you got other situations, especially in divorce situations, generally the other spouse who might be leaving the home, they want to get into a home. So when the kids come over to see them, it's their home. Exactly. They don't want to break that, versus renting, which could happen. But there's ways to put it together. Obviously, VA loans are really easy to do with little to no money out of their pockets. But there's down payment assistance programs across the spectrum that can supply that money, that the down payment. Seller pays the closing cost. They're in there for little to no money. They might get money back at closing.
Yes.
Yeah. Let's go with this one here. Builder incentives. When a buyer tells you they are already visited a builder's sales office on their own, what's the first thing you want to know about what happened there?
Well, I actually have this conversation before they go to the builder.
Yeah.
Because when you have a potential buyer, if you don't start that conversation right away, they will go to builders. They will go see new houses. But I try my best to explain to them, look, this is what happens when you go without me. As long as, and I am thankful that the builders today, not the builders of 2020, but the builders today, they are more honorable. They will honor the agent.
They love real estate agents now.
They do. They love us
2020,
now.
they didn't want to see.
They did not know, and they would not even offer anything. Or if your buyer walked in, they would not honor that compensation.
Right.
But today, they do love us, and I tell my buyers, please make sure that you have my card when you go in. Just give my card, tell them you're with me, and I will go whenever I can and, just introduce myself. But they know because I prepare them for that. I am never caught, not on guard.
Off the top of your head, approximately over the last year, what would you say your percentage of new construction, versus, resale?
Let me see. Ooh.
Just a ballpark.
A ballpark? I want to say about 30%.
About 30%. And the importance, and somebody brought this up, and I always want to make this point on every show. Someone might be listening, because obviously you and I know a lot of people say, oh, we can just go to the builder like they're walking into Walmart or something.
Yeah.
And, you know, the price of the shirt is the price of the shirt. That's not true.
No, it is not.
And then every builder is a little different on what they'll negotiate on, let alone what already comes with the price.
Correct.
As we know, there's some builders like, that's the way it is. You don't have any options. Others, you have all these options. Like, hey, what do I want? A chandelier here or this or that?
Yeah.
You could do all this stuff.
Yeah, but if you don't know and you don't have a guidance, you don't have a realtor with you, guess what?
Right.
You don't get it.
And then where they will negotiate. Some will negotiate on that, but won't on this, and vice versa. And you've got to have that agent who's regularly selling that builder and knows what's going on and where their soft points are to get you the deal.
Correct. Yeah. That is true. And I tell this to my buyers exactly when I have that conversation before they go. I tell them about this because it is important for them to understand when they go by themselves without a realtor, they may not get everything. They will not, because the builder has the builder's interest. And nothing against builders. I love builders. They are great to work with, and they don't have the buyer's interest. They are...
That site agent isn't going to volunteer information.
Not at all.
Now, if you ask them, they'll hopefully they're honest and they'll tell you. But otherwise, they're not going to volunteer information. And if you don't have someone there that knows what to ask, you didn't ask it.
Just because you didn't ask.
Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah, and I think there's no doubt that an agent who's experienced like Debora can get you in there, and it's going to save you $10,000, $15,000, $20,000 versus someone who might have walked in there by themselves. Because the misconception that they're discounting it because they're not having to pay a real estate agent is not true.
Not true.
They hold that margin.
They do. They hold it. They are not going to give you a discount.
Now, maybe you can ask them. Maybe you can ask them and say, well, I don't have a real estate agent. Will you take so much off? Well, let me talk to my manager. Well, we can't take that off, but we'll give you a new coffee maker.
You know why it's not going to happen? Because the builder has a duty to that community to keep those prices stable. The builder doesn't have any interest in selling a house for X here, and then because you want a discount, you don't have a realtor, and they're going to sell X minus something.
Yeah.
It's just not going to happen.
Yeah.
It is not in their best interest. They want to keep prices stabilized in that community.
That's a very good point. Very understanding. That's exactly what they're obviously they're trying to keep inching that price up as older as that community gets. They're trying to inch it up a little bit. Yep. They do not want to go back because people are going to look at what the last sale was in there and so forth. Final question.
Okay.
Why do you love real estate?
Oh my gosh, why do I love Roy? Oh, well, I love helping people. This is why I love real estate. I love when people come to me, Debora, thank you so much. We could not have done this without you. It just brings me joy. It makes me happy. It is a business that's very challenging, and it requires a work ethics that not everybody has. You know, I wake up at 5 a.m., I'm exercising at 6, and I am in the office at 7. And I treat my job as a job because I want to work in my trade, and I give all my time to my trade. And I want to be that good. I still want to be so much better, and that's what drives me, that makes me happy, and that's why I love real estate.
The best agents do. They love the process, and it's really the payday is that referral or compliment, the review that they leave. So, Debora, appreciate you coming on today.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Very
Great show.
much.
This may be it for today's episode of Real Estate Excellence, but we both know your pursuit of excellence doesn't stop here. To connect with the best of the best and really take your skills to the next level, join our community by visiting TracyHayesPodcast.com, where you'll meet more like-minded individuals looking to expand their inner circle and their personal experience. That's available at TracyHayesPodcast.com.